Go in live to tech. Should be live now. What's up, Talos of Tech and Apple Sheep everywhere? We're back with our Tuesday stream. A little bit late. Sorry, actually, this time it was not my fault. It was actually because it seems like our neighbors, I've mentioned before, we have neighbors now, which is fun. It's fun to not be alone all the time. Are now doing some type of renovation or some type of painting, or they're knocking something down, but it was incredibly loud here at 10 a.m. And I probably could have gone live, but every single comment would have just been, "What's that noise? What's that noise?" And it was just like hammers and scraping and everything right behind this wall. So it was very annoying. So sorry we're delayed. Zohiab, Yuval, Vito, Furious, thanks for all of you for joining. I don't think there will be a new Mac Mini. If there will be one, it won't be for a very long time. But we talked a little bit about a redesigned Mac Mini on the Talos of Tech podcast. So if you want more information on that, check out the latest episode. Watching from Poland as I'm on holiday. Yeah, a lot of people now. I believe for the students, at least where I live in California, it is now Christmas vacation. I'm actually very excited. I'm hoping for questions about this new mouse pad I got, which is enormous. Look at this. Macbook Pro can fit on one side all the way to the other just for your mouse. Like an absurd amount of space for the mouse. Like unnecessarily large, and I love it. And it's great because I plan on probably using this enormous mouse pad for the Magic Keyboard and Magic Mouse, or maybe even there's room for a Magic Trackpad when I get the Imac Pro on December 28th, if all goes well. Should I ask for a bunch of accessories for the X for Christmas or for a Visa and buy them all with that? I'd recommend you buying them yourself, but yeah. It does not wirelessly charge, no. But this, keep in mind, this was sent to me. Full disclosure, Jim contacted me and asked if I was interested, GIM, if I was interested in reviewing it. And I said, sure, because I'm always running out of space with trackpads. And this one was specifically designed for gamers, but also just, it's nice to have extra mousepad space. And I think it also complements the MacBook in the mouse very, very well, as I use often with my MacBook. And it's also nice if you like to use your phone caseless and you don't want to rest it on a hard surface. That can scratch up the glass over time, periodically. So it's a lot more safer to just drop your caseless iPhone on the trackpad. It feels a lot safer than just dropping it on a piece of wood or glass or anything like that. Watching on my Magic Mouse, that's kind of cool. You're basically off of school, that's good. Yeah, and I believe I talked about that in yesterday's video, that Apple's Airpods are officially out of stock until January, which sounds worse because January is actually not that far away. It's just the fact that you can't get them from Apple before Christmas that a lot of people are bummed out about. But that does not mean that it's too late. I encourage you to go to Apple stores if you're in the area, because sometimes they'll have product availability that is dedicated products just for walk-in customers, which means that it won't be in the back, it won't be reserved for pickup, it'll just be whoever happens to walk in. Or you can try Best Buy. A lot of the times they'll buy them up in bulk and they may have them early. Similar to the Google Home Max, Best Buy also had early. Target, my friend got his at Target same day he wanted to buy them. He was just like, I wonder if they have them. And they did. We drove there, picked them up. Any kind of store like that may have them. So it's not just Apple that's running out, but I'm sure the other ones are probably more difficult. Yeah, actually, I didn't get the stainless steel Apple Watch yet. We decided to wait till after Christmas to see financially, because I'm making a lot of investments right now into 2X. That's your hint of the day, is that it's not a cheap project. This is not something easy. We decided that we would wait till after Christmas to decide if we wanted to upgrade to the stainless steel Apple Watch, and my girlfriend wanted my old one. We'll see. The suggested video under this is your $17,000 Apple Watch. I don't think they sell that anymore, but it's funny that still pops up as suggested. I still thought that was ridiculous. I still thought it was pointless. But I guess, it was kind of smart. I guess it wasn't completely pointless. It was kind of intelligent to say, like, we only need to sell 10 of these to, make a whole lot of money. So I believe it was, I saw a chart of it once. It was like the Apple Watch, the first generation edition that was solid gold. you only had to, they were something like 0.1% of the Apple Watches sold and equated for 25% of the profit. So they were a whole quarter of the profit, despite being 0.1% of the products shipped, which is really, really cool. What are the thoughts on the new iMac Pro? You didn't review the product. It's because I don't have it. I would like to review it. I've made several videos about it. I've ordered one. It's on the way. And first guess of what I'll think of it is that it's completely overkill. And it's mainly a purchase for me so that I can upgrade to better cameras, better things in the future. As of right now, with the equipment I'm using, like the DSLR I'm live streaming with and the H6 microphone I'm using, it's completely overkill. The MacBook Pro handles all that editing just fine. I'm buying this so that I can make those big upgrades, make those big quality enhancements in the future, and then I will take advantage of that extra CPU and RAM. But as of right now, no, completely unnecessary. Like a RED camera, for example. Yeah, maybe not soon. RED cameras are very expensive, but maybe there's a camera in between the DSLR I have now and the RED that I might get that will definitely improve the quality of videos. So, are you getting a second Google Home Max? Don't plan on it. I've mentioned in the review that they often advertise them next to each other, and I think while that's aesthetically pleasing, it's incredibly illogical because one of them is so stupid loud already. The idea of getting a second one seems like nonsense to me. Like the idea that you would have two of these going at the same time is just, it'd be crazy loud. We have the one right now, and I think it's too loud. Like we can hardly ever play it above 70%. We have to make sure no one else is in the building. Some people were joking. On Twitter that because my neighbors were renovating or making a lot of noise or something, I should play the Home Max in retaliation. But I'm not that kind of neighbor. I'm not going to do that. But Trenton Marshall super chatted. Thank you. Says, by the way, anyone who super chats I read. And if you want to know how to super chat on mobile, just got to go to Safari. Anyway, just wanted to support the channel. Do you miss MagSafe on the MacBooks? Okay, so you're probably a new subscriber. I used to talk about this a lot. I never owned a MacBook with MagSafe. That's how young I am. You're 19. Whoa. First of all, I have used a Mac back when I reviewed the MacBook Air, like 6 years later. I had one just around that I decided to review because I was just bored and I was like, I've never owned one of these before, so I'll review it. Having MagSafe was interesting, but more often than I would like, I noticed that the charger would unplug when I didn't want it to. When I was readjusting the MacBook or I was pulling it to the side, MagSafe, it connected but came out really, really easily. And what I found more annoying was that I could not charge it from either side of the computer. I'm used to this is the first MacBook I've officially, there's other MacBooks I've owned and reviewed and sent back, but this is the first one I've had for a long, long time. I've owned this for almost exactly a year. We're coming up on the anniversary. I do use Final Cut Pro, I do. And what I got used to on this machine is whenever there's a charge cable, I can plug it in on this side, I can plug it in on this side. If I'm using my adapter, my Quack or my HDMI USB-C cable on any one of these ports, I can plug it in anywhere. When I was resorting back to the MacBook Air to see what using an old MacBook was like, I very quickly realized, I have to, hold the MacBook in different orientations so that the cable charger can reach, to reach the charge port, which was, I found kind of frustrating. I was like, I get that MagSafe is nice because, if you trip on the cord, it pops out, doesn't destroy the laptop, that's great. But at the same time, I really prefer having the option of it doesn't matter which side you charge it on. I love that. And also, I did a video about everything wrong with the MacBook Pro 2016, and I mentioned that USB-C is not like the old power cables that you used to trip on the laptop and it would pull the whole laptop out. I did a test on it in that video. There was no animation or some supercut. I literally stretched the MacBook Pro cable all the way out, plugged it in, and then I stepped on the cable. And the USB-C, while it is a secure port, at the same time, it's kind of right in between what old power cables used to be and what MagSafe is, as in USB-C can unplug pretty easily. MagSafe, I think more people enjoyed that you could hover the power cable next to the charge port and it would snap in. Whereas, USB-C, very, very easy to pull out. As in, if you step on the USB-C cable, it pops, like, here's the charge port. I think you guys can see this. Yeah, you can see it. But just, like, no energy whatsoever. Even if I pull down on the USB-C cable, it still comes out. So, I mean, like, I think that with USB-C, we're past the point of, if you trip on the charger, it rips the whole MacBook out with it. I don't think they do that anymore. These are a lot more solid, and the USB-C port, while rigid for adapters and stuff, can also be easily removed. Anyway, there was a super chat. Dalton Wild says, not super excited about where Apple's going with their software and definitely not hardware, but I like where Tailosive is going. Only up from here, Drew. Keep up the confidence and determination, bro. Well, thank you. I mean, I disagree with the first part, but I appreciate I'm glad that you like where I'm going, which yeah, I'm excited for what where we're going to, especially Project 2X. There's a lot coming there. What do you think is the best size phone for your hand? Okay, so every time I go live, I make sure I have this with me. So I've been using iPhone 10, as you guys know, for about 6 weeks now. I'm thinking about doing a 6 weeks later review if I have enough stuff to talk about. But since I've gotten this 3D printed mock-up of the iPhone 10 Plus, okay, so this is a 6.5-inch display compared to the iPhone 10's 5.8. I could see myself getting used to this. It's really a very, very similar form factor to a Plus model iPhone. Like, it's slightly taller than a regular 8 Plus or 7 Plus, but I kind of like big phones. I like, as long as it can fit in my pocket, make the display as large as possible because it allows for more real estate. You can look at more things, makes watching videos a lot nicer. And what I would really like about a 10 Plus iPhone is that the notch, technically speaking, is the same size as the regular iPhone 10, which means that ratio to bezel, the notch is taking up less space, which I'm looking forward to. It means that they could stuff maybe a couple more widgets up into the ears up there. And just when you're watching videos, it's less noticeable. But yeah, I would really prefer an iPhone 10 Plus. As soon as that was available, I would likely invest in one, which I'm assuming is going to be next year. Obviously, if they release one like right now, I probably wouldn't get it. Well, I am a tech channel. I always kind of resort to that. It's like, well, everyone's asking about this, so I guess I have to talk about it. But anyway, yeah, this is plastic, but I've had this for a while too, and it gives you a good idea of what the 2018 iPhones are going to be like. 10 Plus form factor. I have huge hands. I'm 5'11", and my hands are very, very large. So this is nice. This is a really even form factor. I think Apple. I see the super chat. I'll get to it. I think Apple was smart to say that if we can only design one configuration, like one size, for this new futuristic iPhone, 5.8 was a great middle ground. Like, this is just right for people who are used to the Plus models and just right for people who are used to the smaller models. It's a great compromise. But I think what you do, like I say, when you create a product that's such a smash hit, such a success, you diversify. So next year, obviously, they're going to make a revamped version of this one, same size, but just better specs, maybe a thinner camera bulge, maybe more colors, and then on top of that, make a larger one for people who want it. I don't think most people will want this. I have larger hands than most people, and a giant phone like this I would really, really like because I can reach around it, no problem. Whereas someone with smaller hands who's used to an iPhone 10 5.8 probably wouldn't want this, and this would probably cost more money. Anyway, we got super chats to get to. Sharvin says, just a fan wanting to support your channel. Keep up the great work, bud. Thank you, Sharvin. I appreciate it. All this money is going directly to the channel. It's not going to my Bugatti savings or my Tesla Roadster savings. Well, you guys probably would like that. No, it's going right back into the channel. Ben Kingston says, have you had pineapple lumps from LNP from NZ? No, I haven't. I'll have to check that out. But thanks for recommending it. Or maybe you're not recommending it. Maybe you're warning it. But no, I have not. Do you have an opinion on Samsung smart TVs? Are they worse in comparison to Apple TV? Well, they're very different products. Apparently, they're the best things ever. Okay, they sound really good. I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that name in mind. I generally like pineapple. So, wow, you're just 6'2" at 14. You're pretty tall. So first of all, for that earlier question, Apple TV is a box. Samsung Smart TV is an actual TV. And any smartness, like almost any TV you buy now has like the Netflix and the Hulu, Vivos thing, like built into the actual remote now. all of their UI is just horrible, and I hate it. It's just so ugly. And remotes on all TV, even Samsung, remotes are just horribly complicated with all these way too many buttons, way too many controls, and things that don't need to be there. And the buttons that you end up pressing 90% of the time are the smallest ones. And they're all black. You can't see them. They're so dark. Like, you're usually watching a movie at night or in a dark room, and you can't see which button is which. Why can't someone admit that we don't need more dark remotes? Like, can we make some, like, white, like, or glow-in-the-dark kind of remotes so that they're easier to see in the dark? Like, one thing I liked about the new 4K Apple TV remote is that it added a little white ring around the menu button so you know which is which. It gives you an idea of orientation, and I found that really helpful at night. Anyway, really liking the podcast. Keep up the good work. I'm glad you guys like them because, first of all, we don't make any money from the podcast. It's literally just, I know some of you guys want to hear about my thoughts on technology, just in audio form, not in video. There's no sponsors for the Talos of Tech podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud. And we're trying to make one every week, about an hour, sometimes more. But yeah, again, it's a nonprofit. It's just for your entertainment. So any criticisms or feedback you can refer to at TalosofCast on Twitter. All of that stuff. Oh my gosh, Dalton, get yourself something nice for Christmas with this non-tech related Merry Christmas. Drew, to you and Louise. Sorry I butchered your name. That's all right. No, you got it exactly right. That's her name. Thank you, Dalton. I appreciate that. That was very generous of you. Yeah, I will. I've got Christmas presents lined up, but because she watches these, I'm not going to say. She has to wait and find out. But anyway, Razer Blade or MacBook? What do you think? What am I going to say? With this right here? Come on, it's a MacBook. Razer Blade's cool, but I mean, they run Windows 10, and I deal with Windows 10 on a daily basis, and I'm not a fan. Our TV service provider's remote lights up orange when you pick it up. That's cool. I need that remote. But then again, I never use the TV remote that actually came with my TV. I'm always just using the Apple TV remote. Best leather band for Apple Watch. Well, let me look into my handy dandy shelf. One I'd really recommend. I've plugged them several times. I have right here, for those of you who didn't know, I've got a whole drawer just full of watch bands that I keep right here. So all the ones over the years, a lot of which I've given away to you guys, fans. Speaking of the Ridge backpack giveaway, I'll be picking a winner of that later today. Probably not during the live stream. I kind of have to find out if they're okay with me saying their name or if they want it to be left anonymous. But either way, I'll be shipping it out very soon. But leather, I would recommend Benuo. So I think Benuo makes this genuine leather watch band that they sent me. So full disclosure, I did not buy this. They sent it to me and asked me to talk about it. But I really like it. Anytime I wear this, I usually get compliments about it. It's pretty cheap, I believe, on Amazon. Like the attachments to the Apple Watch itself are metal, so it's a very well-built watch band, but also it doesn't break the bank. I don't believe it's over $30. So yeah. It's worth it. I'm keeping on my Elobeth metal one right now. I switched back to this after a while. This is like an actual metal clip on the back here. Closes like that, and then you push it on the middle and it opens up. It's kind of complicated to set up because you have to take out some of the individual linkets to get it to your exact right wrist size. But once it works, I think it works. It complements the space gray Apple Watch very, very well with the black glass and the black metal. Very well built. Someone was asking, again, which I've answered many times, why I can't use Touch ID sensors. Sadly, it's because I have this skin disease known as psoriasis, which means that your skin produces more cells than it's supposed to. And my fingerprints are always changing. So I can set up Touch ID once, and for about an hour, it'll work just fine. But then, like, the next day, suddenly it never unlocks, and it never works. And I've tried this on every device. I've tried it on the MacBook Pro, which used to work pretty good, but then I usually use my pointer finger to unlock my MacBook Pro, and then that started getting, my fingerprints started changing there. So Touch ID's never worked for me. I've tried it on the Pixel, I've tried it on the Note 7, I've tried it on the Essential phone. Like, it never can remember. That's why I love Face ID so much. In the comments, when people ask about how would you feel about putting Touch ID under the display, I was like, I don't care. It wouldn't change my life at all. I still wouldn't use the feature, and it would probably make the phone more expensive for something I would never use. I think Face ID is in its early stages. That's why there's a lot of problems with it. But we've kind of hit a limit with how good Touch ID can get. Like, its limitations is in where do you put it, or how do you unlock the phone simply by touching it. Like, we've kind of mastered the art of Touch ID over the past few years. Whereas Face ID, I think, over time can improve to be a lot better than Touch ID ever can be. Like, imagine if Face ID was perfected and it could work from, like, any angle. Like, for instance, the phone can't see me from this angle, but what if it could? Like, I touched it and looked at the sensor and then it unlocked from that angle. Like, over time, with hardware improvements and software improvements, Face ID can surpass anything Touch ID ever was. Anyway. I haven't had a problem traveling because of the fingerprint issue. Well, part of it probably because I don't travel a whole lot. But of the places I have traveled, they haven't needed my fingerprint yet. I guess when I got my driver's license, they fingerprinted me. But at the same time, like, I would never, what am I trying to say? I guess anytime they tried to pull me over and fingerprint me, or if I happened to be a criminal, then they wouldn't, they couldn't track down my fingerprints. So there's that. When Face ID is perfected, what's next? I don't know. I can't really think of a better form of authentication than just being present to the object. If you break down security to that, is we want the machine that you're using to know that it's you, and to know when it is not you, and therefore not unlock. And I think that Face ID, first of all, does not require an interaction. You can just be in the presence of the object and it'll unlock. For instance, I think that would work incredibly well if we put Face ID on an iMac, for instance, which is rumored to happen, which would simply mean, because, an iMac doesn't move. It's stationary. It's on your desk. As soon as you walk into the room, it's just like, that's him. Okay, unlock. Whereas someone else walks in, it's like, nope, that's not him. So I think that's like the perfect authentication system, is one you don't notice working. And I think that even first generation Face ID is really close to that. A lot of the time I'm using my phone, I don't realize it unlocks. I just think I swipe up. That's how I turn on the phone. In the Face ID just kind of happens in the background. I'm not consciously thinking, can it read me? Can it read my face? I'm just like, I turn the phone on and I unlock it. Like, perfect. Austin Evans agrees with me. I haven't tried any JBL headphones. I'm sure they're pretty good though. I don't really see point in a HomePod besides good audio. Why do I need Siri in it? I have it on my phone, watch computer, and much more. So why would I need it for a speaker? Well, it's kind of the same argument with the Google Assistant. You can get that on iOS even. Siri, at least you can have the argument that she's not available on other platforms. But then again, everyone says, that's because Siri's stupid. Authentication. Sorry, yes. I get birds whackwards. I'm not a... I'm a college dropout, so remember that. I think the advantage to having a smart speaker, now that I have so many, is the fact that they can play their own content on their own computer that's built in, whether it's a podcast or music. It's not airplaying from a different device, which means that when you get too far away from it, it stops playing. Or when you open Instagram and it's auto-playing some video, it'll start playing on that Bluetooth speaker. Instead, this is a dedicated speaker running on its own thing. It's not airplaying from something. It can be a Bluetooth speaker. But that's one advantage I've noticed to the Google Home Max and the Home Minis, is that they run on their own. They're not streaming from a different computer, draining your battery life or anything like that. Bose is good, but they are very expensive. I've had Bose speakers before. Very nice, but pricey. And I'll be getting the HomePod regardless, just because I'm an Apple sheep and this is an Apple sheep channel. There will be a Last Jedi review on Tailosive Move Reviews very soon. Do you think AirPods are missing any features you would like to see in other wireless headphones? So wait, are they missing features I would like or see in other wireless headphones? Okay, well, most of it, the top priority for AirPods is that they just get, like I said in yesterday's video, the reliability down so that they don't die every 3 months and then you have to replace them. That's annoying, but like I said, there's no other pair of headphones I'd rather use. So I'm not going to switch despite these problems. This just kind of goes to show you how much I love them. They have issues, absolutely, but they're not there's not another pair of headphones I'd rather use. I've tried lots of other pairs of headphones, and I still go back to the AirPods with their problems. And my biggest recommendation to AirPods is just that they improve color. More colors, like a black version, a red version, a blue version, I don't care. Just like more diversity in the AirPods lineup. I mean, there's 2 HomePods, and that's not even out. I mean, come on, with the AirPods, there's only one color. We're figuring out how Apple can make them routinely. They, for a while, not anymore, but for a while they were down to 1 to 3 business day shipping, which is really, really cool. That because, you know, for the longest time, for like half the year, it would take 6 weeks for them to ship to you. They were impossible to get your hands on, but now it's becoming a lot easier. What happened in the last live stream? I thought it was over. I thought I clicked the button, and apparently I didn't click the end live stream button. And then I may or may not have talked on the phone with someone about 2X. Then yes, it's absolutely fake. Don't believe that. It was a plan. It was actually a setup. Actually, believe that. Yes, it was complete. It was complete. Yeah, it's so obvious. Thank you. It was completely fake. Don't look into it. It was a joke. I got you. Got ya. Okay. I'm not a jailbreaker. I'm not excited for iPhone 10 jailbreak. Sorry. Any accessories you recommend for the MacBook Pro? I need Christmas gifts. Well, I hate to kind of be the I'm sponsored guy, but I'm not lying when I'm saying that I really like this trackpad. Like, this has been really, really helpful to have like a big mat that works really, really well for your mouse. That is just like infinite. Like it works with the MacBook perfectly. It's got room for the MacBook. Doesn't scratch up the MacBook. Sometimes you may notice that when you put your MacBook down on like a hard surface, you'll hear like this, like there's like sand underneath it or something. Like that's so like it's so nice to have this thing. And I believe I'm sorry, I need the link for it. I believe though, if you just look up, let me get the email real quick. Let's see who it was. I believe it is just Jim. That's what it says right on the trackpad here. I'm sure it's on Amazon. Oh yeah, that's right. I got it on Amazon. The product name is, I'm getting a crap ton of emails. GIM Extended Gaming Mouse Pad. Sorry, Lead Po, and it's $15, $14.49. It's Prime eligible, and it arrives before Christmas. So like, go for it. This thing really helps any laptop user, especially cleans up the look of your desk. Also, is just stylish with the red lining. The pictures don't do it justice. It's a lot larger than you think. Like, this is the 15-inch MacBook Pro. This is a very large laptop, and yet covers the whole thing. That's what I'd recommend. Now, keep in mind, they did send it to me. They want me to promote this thing, and I guess I am. But at the same time, I gotta say, I'm not joking when I'm mentioning that. Holy crap! By the way, guys, GTA is now 60% off at $24. Like, if you want to see me play that on the iMac Pro when that gets here, super chat for it. We can make this happen. We'll see. We'll see what resolution we can run GTA at on the iMac Pro. Want to hear a joke? Stock Android. That's funny. That is funny because you can get basically stock Android on any Android, but people act like you can only get it from a Pixel. Should you wait for Apple Watch? No, they just got updated. They're not going to be updated for a long time. You're still in that all clear area to get an Apple Watch, and it will be very, very current for a long time. They're probably not going to update. GTA 5 doesn't work on macOS? No, it works on Windows 10, which you can boot camp. It's very, very easy. Anyway, also GeForce Now. What was I saying? G5 doesn't work on that. AirPods Face ID. Oh yeah, Apple Watch. You're still in that all clear where if you buy it now, you're not going to get a refresh till September at the earliest. So you've got a long, long time where you can buy a Series 3 now and it'll be current. It'll be up to spec for a long, long time, and it'll definitely Apple Watches. So far, none of them have been discontinued. Even the first generation Apple Watch, which my friend has, can still get the latest version of watchOS 4. So if you bought one now, it's going to be continued for a long, long time. Will you make a video about the MacBook Pro 2018? Hey, good guess. Guess what tomorrow's video is about? 2018 MacBook Pros. All of them. I'm talking about 12-inch MacBook and the MacBook Pro. I realized after filming it that I didn't mention anything about the MacBook Air. I apologize. It's because I really just don't think it needs to be here. It's just here so that you can say MacBooks start at a very low price point. But it's got the old style keyboard. It's got MagSafe. It's got old USB ports. I guess if you want old MacBook, you can. But again, you should just buy a MacBook Air refurbished from someone else. They're on Facebook yard sale all the time. They're on Amazon for refurbished for much, much less, and you can get basically the same thing. I don't know why you would buy a MacBook Air brand new from Apple when you can get so many cheaper ones elsewhere. So I wish Apple would just discontinue it, and then if you need a MacBook Air, just buy one used. I mean, it's not like Apple's the only one who can make them. Anyway, we got Super Checks. Jackson Drake says, any tips for switching from Series 0 to Series 3 Apple Watch, i.e. water feature? Basically, not much. I mean, it's a better product. You get the brighter display and it's more water resistant, so there's not much tips really you need. I guess the one thing I would mention is that when you're using it in water, whether it's the shower or you're swimming with it, all you got to do is swipe up from a control center. There's a little raindrop icon, and if you tap that, what it does is it deactivates the display. Okay, so now whenever you touch the display, it's not listening, because what happens with water is it interferes with the display. It makes things go off weirdly. I actually never use that, though, because typically the Apple Watch doesn't register water as input, and it works just fine. But then when you're ready for the water to, you're done swimming, you're done taking your shower, you want to eject the water from the Apple Watch, you just have to scroll the digital crown. It plays that sound, and it shoots all the water out of the speaker. So that's really all I have to do. And even if you don't do that, sometimes I go swimming or I go take a shower with the watch on, and I forget to do the water ejection thing. It doesn't hurt it. The water will just slip out eventually, or the text message sound effect will shoot it out eventually, regardless. Ben Kingston says, cooking tips as I'm cooking. Also, D-brand opinion. Sorry, I'm a terrible cook. I'm not a good person to give cooking tips. I'd say be thorough, read the instructions, and don't rush it, because that's kind of things I just say about anything. I'm not a big fan of D-brand. I guess their marketing campaign can be kind of funny, but also kind of confusing. I guess they tweeted something once that just kind of threw me off. Like, I'm not a fan of that grip kind of case. I don't look for cases that are ultra grippy. And I've put a skin on my iPhone before, and I didn't really like it. It just made it kind of feel cheap and not, from Apple anymore. And then I think what it was the night of the iPhone 10 pre-orders, and they tweeted something like, Apple has millions of morons pressing the F5 button right now. And it's like, then they did a 100 iPhone 10 giveaway. So, like, they made fun of Apple users, like, all you morons trying to buy an iPhone. But then they were also doing it to buy them up. So, like, I found it hypocritical, and I was like, what? These are your customers. Like, a lot of iPhone users use D-brand. Why are you making fun of them? I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me. I'm not a fan of them. Sorry. The Legally Sane hater, whatever, says, do you think that AirPods need volume controls? I think if there's an intuitive way to do it, like my AirPods are over here. If you could, like, maybe swipe down the AirPod stem, I think it would be really cool. But again, like, I've been told that the tapping motion is not actually a trackpad on the AirPod. It's just kind of a what is it called? Vibration sensor. Like, whenever something like shakes, that's how it works. So maybe if they could update the AirPods somehow so that they could register a swipe. But at the same time, what I've actually discovered, and I know you guys don't like this solution because it's really expensive, but what I've noticed at least is that the easiest way to change volume on your AirPods is actually just the Apple Watch. Whenever you're playing something from your iPhone, or even your Apple Watch, of course, on your AirPods, you just have to turn the digital crown to change the volume. It works really, really well. And that actually, I prefer to the old Lightning remote style of headphones, where you would just have a little clicker here that had a microphone in it. You could change the volume. I used to do that for everything, but then I was like, the Apple Watch is so easy. You can change everything there. You can pause there. You can skip there. You don't have to click 3 times to go back and click twice to go forward. Now you just have one button for everything. It's really easy. You donate in chat by going to a browser. If you're on mobile, just use Safari. Find the live stream there. Anyway, Robert Gushing says, "Hi, Tailosive. If I send you a new vape that doubles as a stylus Apple Pencil competitor, will you review it? Thank you." I do not vape, sorry, so no. You're welcome to send whatever you like to the P.O. box, but I would just use it for the stylus part of it. No, I wouldn't use it as a vape. I don't smoke anything. Drew, how about the volume just as an option for the double tap, right double tap, left double tap, simple. But then well, I mean, I guess you're close to that. With iOS 11, they provided the option that you could customize what the double tap does, so it's not just Siri. Now you can make it play pause on one pod and then skip on the other or rewind on this one. I think that gets confusing, but yeah, I mean, if they made it an option, I would appreciate it. Again, like I said, it wouldn't be as practical as just scrolling the digital crown. That's the best way to do it. And I know it's more expensive, but that's probably what Apple's hoping you're going to do. They're going to be like, so how do I change my volume quickly with my AirPods? They'll be like, get an Apple Watch, which I would also recommend because I really like having an Apple Watch, but I get it. It's not that fun because you can't just buy a $30 pair of headphones anymore. You should check out the Lenovo Yoga Book. It incorporates several of your concepts and predictions for the MacBook. I've seen it. A lot of people keep bringing that up. It's not exactly what I'm predicting. I get that if Apple invented an entire touchscreen to the base of the MacBook Pro and then just a regular display where the display is now, and then below is just a giant touch bar that is the keyboard and the trackpad combined, they would just be like, oh, this isn't new, Lenovo did this. But at the same time, I think if Apple did it, it would customize depending on the app. So first of all, the touchscreen bottom would change a lot. Second of all, Apple Pencil support, which is one of the greatest styluses most artists will admit to. So if they could bring that to a MacBook, it'd be really cool. And at the same time, haptic feedback with the keys, I think, is something that Lenovo doesn't really get quite right. They just kind of say, touchscreen on the bottom. Also runs Windows 10. Very different product from anything that runs macOS. They totally different ecosystems. Of course, when I'm pitching Macs to you, I'm pitching macOS devices. I don't want a constantly updating, crashing OS on my innovative laptop. Do you have any pets? I used to. I used to have a cat named Pickle, but he's with my parents now. The Pixel 2 made fun of how iPhone Plus models have more features than the smaller model. What are your thoughts on this? Why did they make thinner bezels on the big one if they're supposed to be equal and just different in sizes? Why did they make the more expensive one look slightly better? I wouldn't say it looks way better because it doesn't, but why did they make the cheap one look horrible if their goal is to say that only size should be the difference, which I disagree with. I don't know why. Well, Samsung kind of is on the same page too. They're like the Plus and the regular model should not have exclusive features. They should be equal and only change in size. But then it's like, what's the point in investing more into something if basically nothing changes? I kind of like the idea of, and I get that not everyone agrees with me. They're like, I want a dual camera, but I want the smaller phone. It's probably just because making that many configurations of a phone is too expensive, and it's easier to just say, no, the smaller one gets one camera, the bigger one gets two cameras. It's also easier to manufacture the larger phone because it has more room. They can stuff more things in it, including a dual camera. I'm not saying that they cannot stuff a dual camera into a smaller iPhone. I just mean that if they made a configuration for every single possible situation, like we're going to make a single camera small phone and a dual camera small phone and then a single camera plus phone and a dual camera plus phone, it's too expensive to create all these different product lines because then you end up with a lot of them not getting sold. So it's easier for Apple and probably just better for the company as a whole to say, there's this one type. If you want the dual camera, sorry, you have to deal with the larger display. What was your most heated argument when you defend Apple? Oh, 1 second. Hold that thought. There was a super chat. What is your favorite restaurant in Oroville? Also, what's your height? Also, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I said earlier it's 5'11". Favorite restaurant in Oroville? Ooh, Oroville has this really cool place. It's very like hip and it's exclusive to Oroville. McDonald's. I love it. Go there all the time. Anyway, no, actually try Waffle Shop if you're ever in Oroville. That's a great place. There's 2 Taco Bells. We recently got a 3rd Subway. No In-N-Outs, but 3 Subways. And actually, the new Subway that's in the Walmart is pretty good. Like, they got a new soda machine that's better than the other ones, but regardless, yeah. And Happy New Year's. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Anyway, what was that thought? We had that point earlier. I was forgetting about something. Oh, my most heated argument. I can't think of a single time where it was like, this is when I was the most triggered. But I can think of an argument that keeps coming back to me, which is that whenever I try to have a discussion with someone about why I like Apple products and that I think they're the best products, I don't think that means that everyone needs to buy them. I just think that they're the best. When we get into that discussion and the counter argument starts to result to they're only popular because people are idiots, that's when I start to feel like, okay, you're not resulting to facts or numbers anymore. You're just saying that the only reason this company is successful is because people are dumb. Which, you know, it's hard to not take that personally. It's just saying, like, well, you like this product because everyone likes this product and everyone's stupid. It's like, that's not a result of what's better, optimization or customization. Like, we can have that battle out in discussion about, like, is it better for a phone to have unlimited options, or is it better for it to do a couple things really, really well? That's kind of the big debate with iOS and Android. So when they start resulting to just like, well, it's just because everyone's stupid. It's like, how can I convince you opposite? Obviously, there are stupid people out there, but I don't believe the only reason Apple got successful is because it just so happened that everyone at the same time was stupid, and everyone at the same time made a wrong financial decision, and everyone for the last 30 years is stupid and is invested in this company that focuses on making quality products. They're all just dumb. It's a dumb argument. That's when I get the most heated, is when it's like, okay, we're not having a discussion anymore. You're just saying that anyone who doesn't agree with what I say is an idiot, which is not a counterpoint. That's just a scarecrow argument. It's stupid. Anyway, Android is more optimized than iOS 11. Check the Geekbench scores. How about iPad Mini Pro, but with iPhone 10 design? I mean, iPhone 10 design on anything wouldn't look bad, honestly. I would prefer it being on a 10.5-inch iPad with the same size bezel and everything. But yeah, that also a mini would be cool. I don't think they'll do that, but it would be neat. And thank you for the donation. I hate it when people call the iPhone 10 the iPhone X. Drew, do you hate that too? Well, I don't hate it because it makes sense. It's more Apple's fault than it is consumers, because the only reason you would know that it's called the 10 is if you watch the keynote or a commercial where they verbally say so. But a lot of people are just watching commercials or they're reading headlines, everyday people, and they just see iPhone X. So that's what they read. It's not like when you look at the Xbox, the new Xbox, you wouldn't say Xbox One 10 because it has an X there. So it's like it's more Apple's fault. I don't agree with the naming scheme. I would have gone with Edition. But they wanted to be, I don't know, maybe X is better in marketing than Edition for some reason. I don't know. I hate it when phones don't come with earbuds. It's a missing experience from the inbox. I feel like that's something that's going to bite me back later. I know I always complain about the Pixel. It's like, if a phone's this expensive, it should come with headphones. And the iPhone does. However, I have not ever touched the Lightning earbuds that came with my iPhone 10, but it's because I have AirPods. So I'm thinking that when Apple gets to the point where there's no headphone jack or Lightning port on the phone, there's no ports at all, will they include AirPods with the purchase? Or would Apple do the more Apple thing to do and just say, nope, there's no headphones anymore? When you buy an iPhone, you just don't get headphones, which I feel like might happen one day, and that'll bite me back, but I won't notice it because I'll have AirPods regardless. What I would hope they would do is just include AirPods and make the price a little bit higher. I think that would be great. If when you bought an iPhone, you got AirPods, that'd be real kick to the face to the competition, is that when you buy an iPhone, you get this really capable, ecosystem friendly pair of wireless earbuds that are some people's favorite headphones of all time. But I also feel like Apple's not that generous, and they wouldn't do that because it's a lot of money and they're very hard to produce, as we've seen. So some lower-end Samsung phones don't have headphones. I can get it when the product is cheap. Like the Essential phone didn't come with headphones. I don't care about that. It's $500. They're making a budget. Same with the Nexus 6P. Back when I reviewed that, doesn't come with headphones, but it's $500. You're on a budget. I get it. You don't have the extra things. But when you're talking $600, $800 and plus for a smartphone, I feel like headphones should be a given. It's like you get a new pair. You don't have to use it, but you at least have a pair, a backup for things if they go wrong. Let's see. AirPods 2 is going to be a wireless charging case pretty much. Maybe software features. Yeah. Maybe. I believe it's just the case. By the way, thank you for the donation, Alex Matthew. You didn't write a comment, but I appreciate it. Are you getting any third-party accessories for iMac? And what's next for the MacBook Pro? Okay, so I talked about the MacBook Pro tomorrow, so you'll get more of that. But in terms of accessories for the iMac Pro, likely going to be external hard drives. I'm definitely using this mouse pad, which looks really cool, and it'll probably work really well with the Black Magic mouse. I would likely get a lot of deep storage, which I already have. I have close to 13 or 14 terabytes in external hard drives now. And since the iMac Pro has all these old traditional USB ports that I have no need to use anymore, everything's USB-C for me. So I'm just going to load up all of those back traditional USB ports with hard drives so that every time I turn on the iMac Pro, I'll have 2 terabytes internally. But then when I need to offload stuff, I have like 15 terabytes in the background, which will be cool. So it'll be like lots and lots of storage, definitely never running out. I've done a studio tour of this office on Talos of Talks, where I do vlogs and like social commentary and stuff like that. And we do podcasts with me and my friends. It's not tech related over there. So if you want to see a tour of the studio, it's on that channel. I don't want to do it here because it's not really tech related, and it's just like, look at me, look what I got. Like, I don't know. I have a channel that's enough of look at me, so I put it there. Favorite band for the watch? Okay. If I had to choose, I have to say I love the color combination of the blue Nike band, and you also can't get this one anymore. That's what I like about it. It's exclusive. It was a fun time going to get it because I think it was like the night before we left. I looked on the Apple Store app, and I planned on getting the blue Nike band at some point. And then it said like it's not available in the 38 millimeter. It's sold out at the Sacramento store. It's only at the Roseville store, and it's only in 42 millimeter. And if you want to have it shipped to you, it's going to take 8 weeks. So I was like, okay, I basically have to buy this right now, or I'm never going to get it. And I really like the color of it. So I was like, heck yeah, blue Nike, and a lot of great watch bands out there. Milanese Loop's great, Nylon's great, the Elobeth ones, the Benuo ones, they all sent. All great, but this is by far, like, when I want to show off how cool my Apple Watch looks, I go with the blue Nike. But then again, like, the more watch bands you get, the more useless they all become because you can only use one at a time. So I try not to buy up a crazy ton of them. That's why I've been giving a lot away, is because, first of all, you guys should get rewarded for supporting the channel. And second of all, I just have too many, and I don't want to have just like a giant stack of them, because the more you buy, the more useless they are. Anyway, Alex Matthew donated second time, says, what if Samsung does the in-display fingerprint? I've read rumors that the Note 9 will. I've read that they didn't figure it out on the S9, but they're trying to figure out on the Note 9. And if they do, like I said earlier, I won't care because I can't use it, but it will be impressive. I mean, Qualcomm, I believe, has already made one, a prototype, which is annoying. I hate it when companies are just like, we made this prototype technology that's way better than Apple's. It's like, okay, is it in a phone? They're like, no, but it will be later. And it's like, that's totally different. Making one prototype is infinitely easier than making 10 million of them. The reason Face ID, the reason the iPhone 10 was delayed was because Face ID was so hard to manufacture. I'm sure Apple could have made a 1,000 times more secure Face ID unlock. I'm sure Apple even could have made a Touch ID under the display, but they have to consider their deadlines. They have to make one before the holiday season, and they have to make tens and tens of millions of them, which is not easy. You have to buy, like, okay, we figured out how to make a Face ID sensor. Now we need 30 million of them. How is that going to happen? Who are you going to contact to make that happen? Like, are there enough resources on the planet to make that happen? Like, It's very difficult, whereas making a single prototype is incredibly easy. I wish they wouldn't brag about that. But yes, if Samsung did it, it would be cool. But again, I wouldn't care. What's up with W2 chip versus W1 chip? What's the difference? I believe in the keynote they mentioned that, what was it? I think it's faster. It uses less power and it just like pairs quicker. So I don't think there's a terrible amount of difference. That's probably why they weren't too aggressive to put the W2 chip in the new AirPods case. Even though they did put the W2 chip in the Apple Watch, because I think an Apple Watch sends a lot more data. You're sending displays, you're sending apps, photographs, sometimes a camera remote. Sometimes you're literally sending video to your Apple Watch. So there's a lot more data shared between your phone and your Apple Watch compared to headphones, which is music. That's about it. So they probably didn't feel a big adrenaline rush. We have to get the new W2 chip. Same with Bluetooth 5. Faster and useful on smartphones, but when it comes to things like computers, they probably didn't feel like they needed to, because like most of the Bluetooth stuff is headphones, keyboards, mice. I guess AirDrop. I wouldn't be mad if they put Bluetooth 5 or the W2 chip into all their technology, but maybe it's too expensive. Maybe they haven't figured out how to make the processor fast enough yet. Who knows? Licia Dad donated, says, Merry Christmas, thanks for the hard work. May I also get a shout out for my small Apple channel? Shout out to Licia Dad. Check him out. There's his shout out. He's got a small Apple channel growing here. Well, Apple channels are very small on YouTube. We got to stick together. What is the second best tech ecosystem behind Apple? I'd probably say Samsung. I know that Google has an ecosystem, but it's just not good. It doesn't compare to Samsung's or Apple's. But yeah, good question. I do not know a single person who bought the silver MacBook Pro 2016 edition. I saw a lot of people unbox them on YouTube, but I don't know anyone in person. No, I thought it looked horrible. I don't know why you would want that. USB-C versus Lightning. Should iPhones have USB-C? They could. And I guess that would make cable universality easier. But I think the new standard with the iPhones is going to be wireless, not USB-C. The USB-C is really meant to be the last port that can carry video, data, audio, power. Everything on MacBooks, Intel, everything can be done wirelessly. That's what I think Apple's pushing us to. I think iPhones are way, way too close to being all wireless. I've never used the Lightning port on my iPhone 10 a single time. So I think that's what Apple's pushing towards. They're saying, people out there in Android community, or a lot of fans, are saying that USB-C is the new standard. Why isn't Apple adopting the new standard? Apple's saying that the standard is wireless charging. It's Qi charging, and the new standard for headphones and accessories is wireless. That's what they want to get to. The iPhone's so close to that. MacBooks are not close to that. That's why they're adopting USB-C. There's way too much data and things a MacBook needs to do that cannot be done wirelessly at this point in time. That'll change. And eventually, I think their goal is to not have ports on anything. Thoughts on next iPhone? It's bigger. There it is. I have it already. Oh my God. You bought the silver MacBook Pro. I think it looks great. I'm glad you like it. I didn't care for it. I've seen one in an Apple store, but yeah, it's not for me. Not for my ecosystem. Samsung's Foldable Galaxy X phone. I talked about that in my foldable tech video. I think it's cool that technology is getting to that point, but it's not practical. It's not the next big thing. Lightning 2.0. I've never used it, so I wouldn't know what I think of it. What 4K TV do you have? It's a Philips 5000 series. It's a 55-inch LED LCD. It says that on the box. I'm looking right at it. Ultra HD LED LCD TV, and it's 4K. It's got 120 refresh rate, which is nice, and HDR mode. And it was only $400 at Walmart. What is the next big thing? I think the next big change to all technology is AR. I think it's a short change. It's not going to be like decades of improvements and decades of enhancements where we're all lining up to buy it like it was with the smartphone. I feel like the smartphone industry is still going to be the big thing for another 10 years, but it's going to run out of steam once all of them start having no bezels, all display, and then it all just comes down to what software you prefer, because hardware is all going to be identical. I mean, look at processing speed and look at camera performance. We're already getting to a point where almost all cameras are looking identical. There's slight variations, but they're all very good. It's just like the idea now that the Note 8 has a far superior camera to the iPhone isn't true, and that the iPhone X's camera is infinitely better than the Pixel 2's. It's not. They all have minor advancements on certain things, but for general use, for general people taking pictures, just fine. They're all fine. And we'll get in another 10 years, they'll be so good that they'll be almost indistinguishable. And yeah, we talked about foldable. I think that's an interesting technology, though I don't think it's going to catch on. I don't think that's the next thing. Just to let you know, if there ever was a chance for me to work at Tailosive to make the podcast more often than weekly, I'd love to help. Thank you. Sadly, I can't put too much time and effort into the podcast right now just because it's a nonprofit. I need to pay the bills. All this stuff you're watching, all of this costs money, and I need to focus on that. And the podcast is more for a nonprofit. Just here's some content. But thank you. I do appreciate the offer. If anyone's ever interested in working for Tailosive, keep in mind, I don't have a ton of stuff for everyone to do. I don't have I need 10 people to show up and then I'd have stuff. No, I don't. But if you have ideas for what you can do, you can email me a resume and a mission statement, which is just, here's my experience, here's what I'm good at, and here's what I'd like to do for you. Because I don't really know. I don't have an opening. I'm not looking for help at this point. But a lot of people that end up being a part of Tailosive simply come to me and ask, could I do this for you? They provide a service and say, would you like it if I could do this for you? That's how I hired my editor, Nathan, who's doing a great job with the tech videos. He just said, I heard you were looking for someone to edit your videos. Here's all the times I've edited stuff. Here's what I'm experienced at. And he just provided a resume, and he's very good at it. Why would anyone want to work at Tailosive? Yeah, it's horrible. It's just terrible. What sort of price point do you think the Powermat would sell for? I'm aiming high, hoping for low. So what I mean is, I'm anticipating that because of the USB-C charge brick it'll come with, and the Powermat is exclusively Apple, doesn't charge other things, it'll be like $200 to $250, something absurd. And then if it's not that, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Is the MacBook Pro 2012 is obsolete because it's my everyday device, plus it's too heavy? Please answer. My phone is dying and I need to go to sleep. It's midnight. I would say obsolete, 2012. Yeah, that's getting up there. My iMac is from 2012. Where is it? Over here. It's not good for much anymore. It can access the internet. That's about it. It can't edit much. I really hope it doesn't cost more than £150. Yeah, I hope it's cheap too. I'm just saying it's Apple, so don't expect things to be cheap from Apple. It will cost under $100. That would be nice, but again, I don't think so. I'm getting it whenever it comes out regardless. I'll probably get more than one. Do you think Apple will make a VR headset to go with their iPhone like Samsung? I don't think Apple sees that as an innovative technology, so no. I don't think that... Having used that, I've used the VR headsets that come with the Samsung phone. I don't think that's very fun, and I don't think it's something everyday people want to do. Apple's all about making phones that work the way you want them to, and they're reliable. And VR is just this really added extra toy that they include with the purchase of a Samsung phone for free, because that's the only way they can get people to buy them. And using VR in the UI with the remote and everything is just it's unnecessary. Will you continue doing the old thumbnails, or are you going to change to the AirPod video style thumbnail? Well, we're kind of talking about changing them, obviously, because a lot of people love the new thumbnail. But actually, I haven't talked to this about him yet. The next video coming out tomorrow about the 2018 MacBook Pros was almost the exact same thumbnail with just like lights in the background and then a MacBook. And I was kind of like, well, I like the idea of a cinematic picture being the thumbnail, but I don't want it to be just lights in the background every single time. I think that would get boring. So I don't know. I'm trying to take cinematic pictures of my MacBook and then make that the thumbnail. I haven't decided on one yet, but we'll see. I wouldn't like it to just be like the same lights and then the Apple product in front of it every single time. I think that falls us into the same trap of, Drew, it's just the same thumbnail over and over again. I'd like to diversify it a little bit because, yeah, our thumbnails for the longest time have just been blue text with a single color background everyone knows. Do it on special occasions. That's what I've been doing. Like the iPhone X review got its own cinematic picture, and the UE Mega Boom got its own picture. But yeah, I like the idea of going with the cinematic route. I prefer switching it up a little. I don't want to have the same lights background every single time because then people are going to be like, "What? Why is it lights now? Like, what happened to the gray color?" Or talk about Shazam. There's not much to talk about. It's been an app for a long time. Make an iOS 12 wish list video. I would if I had one. I'm kind of barren on ideas right now. Everything I've kind of wanted is kind of been done in some way, shape, or form, or Apple will never do. I appreciate the donation, by the way, but I don't know. I don't have a ton of things I want them to add. I get that if I ask for it, everyone will be like, group FaceTime, which I don't think is a good idea. I think group FaceTime gets overly laggy. Like, regular FaceTime is awkward enough as it is with the pauses and the loading screens, and the connection failing. Like, imagine doing that with two people. The delays would be crazy. The connection would be terrible. Like, I don't know. What should I do? Upload in 4K and normal vids. I have a 4K camera. I can shoot in 4K. The reason I don't is that so few people actually would experience it in 4K. If you look at the numbers, us YouTubers can look at what resolution people are watching our videos at, and I've uploaded a handful of my videos in 4K just for special occasions. Like, it's like 1% of the viewers actually have a 4K TV with an internet that can do 4K and a box that can load 4K and then actually watch a video in 4K. It's so rare that it actually goes forward. However, 1080 at 60, that's something anyone can experience. Whether you're on a phone, a TV, or a tablet, you can see the extra frame rate. So between 1080 at 60 and 4K, I wanted something that would put us higher than the competition than just a standard 1080. So I'd be like, oh, okay, he's got an extra frame rate. What I would prefer to do someday, I can't do this for a while, and don't suggest filming on the iPhone. It doesn't work. Don't think that if I filmed on the iPhone, you could do 4K at 60. I would like to get a professional camera that shot 4K at 60. That way, if you want the 4K, you can have it. And also, the 60 FPS is also there. I would prefer that way. Is the Apple Silicone case worth it? Does it last? I think it is. I really like these. I love how easily they come off. Sorry, was there a super chat that I missed? No, that's okay. Do you think Apple will license the W1 chip to other companies? That's something I wish they would do. Both the W1 chip and AirDrop. If they could build AirDrop into DSLR cameras, we could ditch all SD cards, honestly. It would be really cool if just like after you're done filming a video, you tap on the DSLR and just hit AirDrop and then send it wirelessly to your MacBook Pro. It works so well between the iPhone and the MacBook. It just pops up as an option. Whereas if it was built into actual professional cameras, we wouldn't have to use cables and import things anymore. Once they figure that out, I mean, like if you could start outsourcing AirDrop and W1 chip to other companies and start selling them to them, that's when you can start removing ports on the MacBook Pro even further, even less than 4 ports. I would love that. I think they would only license to Beats or Sonos, and I don't think Apple thinks DSLR is the future. Well, then they shouldn't film on them all the time. Do they film all of their commercials and Apple films on iPhones? No. They use professional cameras. Would you eat pineapple lumps on the vlog channel? If I can find a place that has one, sure, yeah. We basically vlog anything interesting that happens on there, so yeah. You think Apple will make a PC marketed to gaming? No, I doubt that. I mean, if you want a PC, just boot camp your Mac. It's that easy. There, Windows 10. I have that on my Mac. If Apple made a car, would it have Windows? Now that's what I call a 12-year-old meme. Can you do a video on what Apple should spend all of its $270 billion on? Basically exactly what they're doing. So, probably an unnecessary video. Have you ever used products other than Apple? I mean, yeah, all the time. I review Android phones, Samsung products all the time, Essential phone. I've reviewed the Surface Pro. I've reviewed... What else have I reviewed? Well, the thing is, I've tried to review non-Apple products before. They usually never do very well. Most of my videos where I reviewed the Xbox and the PlayStation or stuff like that, or the Surface Pro, or people usually don't care as much. Even like the Google Home products, it's like people are interested and they're passionate about it, but the views for them are significantly lower than when I just talk about the iPhone. So I have to. I want to make stuff I want to make, but at the same time, if I made things that no one cared about, then I wouldn't be here. So I kind of have to make videos that people are interested in. Why do Google phones depreciate in value so quick? Because they're not very good. Having used them, I don't know. Well, it's probably because they're not high in demand. That's what kind of allows value to stay consistent, is that a lot of people, when they're on a budget and they need to buy a used phone, they're probably like, I just need a good iPhone. What's like a 6S cost? And then they're like, oh, you can get one for $300. It's like, okay, I'll get that one. No one's like, I just need a cheap old Google Pixel. I just need a cheap old Nexus. Like, everyday people usually don't think about that. Do you think AR is the future? I think it's in the future. I don't think it's replacing anything. It's just going to add on top of what we already have. It's going to change everything. Like I've talked about before on the Talos of Tech podcast, the Apple Watch enhances your smartphone experience to a whole new level. It changes the way you use your iPhone to have an Apple Watch. Whereas I think AR glasses will change how you use everything. It'll change the way you use your phone, your watch, your MacBook, and your iPad. It's just, and the way you drive, honestly, how it'll give directions. Like AR can enlighten your entire tech ecosystem. There's an unlimited amount of potential with AR. I don't think AR means you have to stop using your iPhone, and I don't even think AR could replace your iPhone. Similar to the Apple Watch, it can get more and more independent over time, but the Apple Watch is not an iPhone replacement. It's a very much totally separate product. Why is the fast wireless charging not much faster? I don't know. It's something to do with magnetic fields. Charging each other is not as efficient as just regular cables and pins. It'll get fast, though. Do you think Apple should make a Lightning 2.0? Arguably, they have. They made a ultra-fast charging Lightning port on the iPhone that I've never used, but they are improving the Lightning port over time. It's not the same Lightning port from the 5. What do you think the Apple Watch Series 4 will have? Well, I did a whole video on that. I don't think functionally there's much you can add, but I think it would be much better if they got people excited by changing the design, because the design has been the same for so long. If you want people to get excited about the Apple Watch, there's not much functionally you can add. So really all you can do is make it thinner, make it look cool. Make more color options, make it cheaper, make a cheaper version of it, like one that's made out of the same stuff the 5C is made of, at like $200 starting, like something like that. I don't know. That's how you can get people excited. Will the portless phone have a smart connector? Maybe it'll have a hidden port, kind of like the Apple Watch. It doesn't have any ports, but it has a secret one just for Apple to access in extreme scenarios. So if they removed all ports on the iPhone, they probably have a secret port somewhere. Would you like to see a 4K display on MacBooks? They could. I don't think it would be much noticeably different. The pixels per inch is already incredibly high. If it was 4K, it wouldn't look much different. And it would probably just use up your battery and GPU a lot faster. Oh, God, the FCC guy who got rid of neutrality. The videos he made, no joke, I think they're the cringiest things I've ever seen in my life. I've seen a lot of crap on the internet. I think that, what's his name? Ajit Pai's video on net neutrality. What you can still do on the internet after it. Literally the worst things I've ever seen. Most cringy. I don't think there will be an iPad Mini 5, to be honest. I feel like that's slowly going to get phased out. It's not what I want to happen. It's just what I think what'll happen. Last year, you make a I don't like OLED video. What are your thoughts now with the iPhone 10 panel being OLED? Do you wish iPhone 10 with LCD? So a lot of people misunderstood that. They misunderstood the title as the thumbnail, as I recall, was OLED is meh. And the title was I don't like OLED, which means that because a product has an OLED display, it doesn't make me like it more. I love the display on my iPhone 10, but it is not because it is OLED. It looks really great. They got the contrast ratio right, but it's a Super Retina, yeah. It's nice that they can do the tap to wake features. I like those parts of the display, but I was just saying at that time, a lot of people kept saying, I think around that point was when everyone was saying, the next iPhone's going to have OLED. Oh my God, it's going to have OLED. It has deeper blacks. It has more vibrant colors. Having used my iPhone for so long with LCD display, and while having an OLED Android at the time, comparing them, I was like, OLED, I don't care. You can't just tell me the phone is OLED and expect me to like it. I have to look at it and say, wow, this display looks better. If it's better because of OLED, then great. But it's not the OLED I'm a fan of, it's the display. Which, like I said with the iPhone X, with the new contrast ratio and the pixel density and everything, I love the display. Yes, it is OLED, but that is not I'm not a fan of OLED. I'm the fan of the display itself. Similar to the iPad. iPad Pro has an amazing display. I love the ProMotion, 120 Hertz. Razer phone has this too. I know. Great display. It's not OLED though. But it's not like if it were OLED, I would like it more. I want a good display in a product. If it's a good display, I appreciate that part of it. The aspects of what makes it a great display, I don't care about. You can't. There's a wrong way to make an OLED display. Look at the Moto Android Wear watches. They had such a screen burn in. Look at the Pixel 2. That's a AMOLED or AMOLED or whatever, Super AMOLED display. Pixel 2 display looks horrible, having used one. I was like, oh my God, this is distractingly bad. Like, I messed around with the Pixel 2, and I was like, the picture bokeh effect is really good. It's really, really good at registering what to focus on with the algorithm. It was just so distractingly bad that the display looked horrible. What I'm saying is, the fact that a display is OLED does not make me like it. If OLED is used in making a good display, then great. But I'm saying that just because a phone uses OLED does not make it the display great. What do you think the next iPhone should be called? I think they should just go to years. They kind of have to. When you get into iPhone 15, 16, 17, it gets annoying. So just call it the iPhone, and then we'll forever refer to it as the 2018 iPhone. That's the easiest way. iPhone X has the best display ever. Yeah, I don't know. It's for a phone, probably. Yeah, I would agree to that. But at the same time, yeah, I really like it. I liked it more than I thought. I was just expecting there to be thinner bezels and be like, okay. And then it turned out the contrast ratio being 1,000,000 to 1, the pixel density, the color vibrancy really, really helped. Like, Apple got the OLED display right, is what I'm saying. In that old video, I was not saying that I hate OLED. I'm just saying that because a display is OLED, I don't think it's better all of a sudden. You have to make the display better. It's how you calibrate it just right. I like Samsung's displays. They're OLED as well, but it's not because they're OLED I like them. As I mentioned, with the Pixel 2, you can make a bad OLED display. Will micro LED be able to get 120 Hertz refresh rate? I believe so. Everything I've read about it sounds like micro LED is thinner, brighter, and more durable and better in every regard. It's just incredibly difficult to manufacture. So I assume that, yeah, it could also do 120 Hertz, but it's just really, really hard to make. OLED gives me a headache. I'm sorry. That's too bad. But I mean, a lot of people act like Apple had never made an OLED display. Like when they were talking about the 2017 iPhone, they were like, OLED finally coming to the iPhone. It's like, first of all, it's on the Apple Watch. They did it on the Touch Bar, so it's not like Apple's against OLED. It was just they wanted to wait till they could perfect the OLED display, which I think they did. I think they got it right. What do you think about Everything Apple Pro new video about Apple making old iPhones slower? Well, I noticed that it wasn't really Apple. It was more science. If you watch that video, he wasn't saying that Apple forcefully makes the phone slower. It's that when batteries degrade over time, the performance of the phone is limited. Which is, I mean, I thought that's just how phones worked. When computers get older, when things get run down, when they get used a lot, when they're mobile, especially they're being in your pocket a lot, they're experiencing damage, you're dropping or shaking them. That erosion over several years is definitely going to slow down the CPU and how well it performs. And batteries degrade over time no matter how you use them. They lose their charge, they lose their output, and I don't really see how that's Apple's fault. That's just how phones work. And he just mentioned that if you put a new battery in the phone, it can improve the performance. So, I don't know why, but I prefer the Note 8 display more than the iPhone 10. I only like the way iPhone 10 brightens up over Note. It's not a bad display. I've used a Note 8 as well. It's very nice. It's very large, which I appreciate. But yeah, they're both good in different ways. I like the Note 8 display. I like the iPhone 10 display. I prefer this because of what's on it. But yeah, I mean, Samsung makes the display in the iPhone 10. So yeah, Samsung's the leader in this. Yeah, Apple's more key about getting the software right. But anyway, we're past an hour now, and I probably don't want to chance this live stream going until the neighbors start working on whatever the heck they're doing next door. So we're going to wrap it up. You're going to get a 2018 MacBook Pro video tomorrow, / MacBook video tomorrow. Thank you for all your donations and comments. I appreciate every single one of them. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. No, just kidding. I know. I'll stop it.